I'm pretty sure YouTube's strategy doesn't work. This is AutoDS, a $100 million valuated company with pretty polished and good packaging, but struggling to break 1,000 views. 1 of 10 YouTube strategy, the guys who own a multi-million-dollar a year SaaS product where they teach people how to make YouTube video ideas. They can't even break 200 views on a video talking about growing a channel to 150,000 subscribers. I think I'm onto something. Let's look at Alex Hormozi. As always, it's great to look at Alex in times of need and get some help. Well, unfortunately, he doesn't take us much closer to the answer. He has posted this series and he has been doing this repeatedly. Some of these videos get over 2 million views. Some of them barely break over 100,000. They are the exact same title and the exact same thumbnail. These two videos are the exact same title and thumbnail across 2 separate channels posted within the same month. One just happened to be a 50x outlier and get over 500,000 views, while one barely broke 1,500 views. And I wanted to understand why. You see, like these guys and one of them are saying, okay, your title and thumbnail and what gets you views. My first thought process was, okay, they reached different target audiences. They were just pushed to, different corners of YouTube. And so what I did was something which YouTube doesn't actually like when you do, but I used a data scraper. I fed in these 2 videos and it pinged a server probably somewhere out in China. It pretended to have no watch history and be a logged out YouTube user, and these are the videos it got suggested under both of these. Just to pause for a moment, why is this relevant? Well, suggested video feed, so the videos that appear under another one, are the videos that YouTube would prefer you as a viewer to watch instead of the one you're on right now. This is what came up, and what we can see all of a sudden is that Sunny, with her video, Social Media is Over, Here's What Will Grow Your Business, was pushed very heavily into the YouTube crowd, how storytelling can change your business fast. So this is YouTube as a mechanism to get, better business performance. Now we do have some noise, and this always happens. YouTube is very persistent with discovery, which means it always devotes a certain number of recommended slots to completely random videos. How average people are making millions on YouTube, that one's a bit more top of funnel. So we have sort of a video for beginners who don't really have a business yet and they're looking into these mechanisms. Stanford researcher, how to manifest the life you want. Now this is a very good insight as to who Sunny's audience are and inevitably the audience that this video reached. We then have, smartest way to make money on YouTube. Essentially all of this to say that this video reached a very focused target audience, very YouTube heavy, very early business heavy, and almost definitely, female. We have this sort of manifesting angle and topics. But then let's go to Ravi's video. So the target audience it reached was very, very different. So the video suggested under it, knife expert, real knife defense is terrifying. Okay. World War III is about to begin by Diary of a CEO. Interesting. I asked finance bros how much debt they have. I investigated the country where it's illegal to be fat. So we have some business videos scattered throughout. There's a lot more of this noise, and the noise is definitely very like bro coded or red pilled. And this is also once again a very interesting indicator of the audience this video ended up resonating with. It's like the pocket of YouTube this video lives in. Same title, same thumbnail, very different audiences that they ended up reaching, and this is pretty much entirely the reason why they got different views. How is all of this helpful, and how can this, get people more views? Why aren't people talking about this? Why are all of these channels failing? Let's look at these 4 videos. So, of course, Mr. Beast's Squid Game video. Clearly, it was the zeitgeist. It was the trending topic at the time. Everyone was talking about it, and we can't attribute any of that to taking a format from a different niche or taking a certain topic from your competitors that tended to do well in a pattern of outlier history. No, it was to do with this massive external timing. He didn't know Squid Game would be released the month before. And so this billion view video came out of nowhere. This video idea just landed on him. I used YouTube's own AI to solve the algorithm. It was brutal. The execution is like not much to write home about, but it's very clear why it's a good video idea. YouTube having their own AI, it's something which people are familiar with. They've probably seen it pop up. People know YouTube. They can kind of imagine the benefit of YouTube having an AI. Maybe it will give you some really cool video insights. But the novelty is of using it, and using it especially to solve the algorithm. And so we have this amazing balance between what's familiar and what's novel, all wrapped inside this package, which has this like fear of not missing out. It's this brand new thing that's just come out, and if you don't sort of see this video and see how to use it, then you may miss out on something really valuable. And so this worked because of its topic. But let's look at this video, because this kind of kills those two previous things completely. So I'm pretty sure recycling isn't real. This video got 3 million views. Like, that's an insane amount of people, especially on a pretty, like, gotta be careful with my words, a pretty small channel. I mean, he's pretty good at YouTube, but it's nothing exceptional. But these are 3 million instances where this video was on someone's recommended page instead of a $5 million production by Mr. Beast, or instead of, a video by Airac or Alex Hormozy. You literally have billionaires. You have Bill Gates and Ray Dalio and all of these people who this video was shown by some random guy on 3 million people's recommended pages, over that, and they decided to click on this one instead of all of them. And why? Why is this more interesting than all of the things I just said? Well, it's because, so I'm pretty sure recycling isn't real. It's this, I call it latent demand. It's something which people are thinking, nobody's yet named, and the second you can kind of word it or like bring it to mind, then it's just inherently interesting. It's something which maybe people have noticed before subconsciously, but as soon as you kind of bring it to their conscious, all of a sudden you have to click. It's like this explosive release of interest. And so you're kind of confirming something that someone subconsciously believed. This is an extraordinarily powerful thing. And as we can see, I mean, in terms of outlier scores, it's probably the highest out of all of these for this creator. It's a very powerful thing, and it doesn't live within a title structure. It doesn't live within a format structure. It's not the execution. It's not the depth or the value or the timing, but it's purely the way he was able to word this thing that was subconscious to people. And that's why this video succeeded. Now, if you tried to take this title structure or the topic of recycling and do it again in another niche, it wouldn't do well, because he named it, and it's not done in this way. And so the final one, once again, it's another example of this latent demand, why everyone's switching to Rust and why you shouldn't. So a pattern people are noticing, and he named it. This one, maybe it's a bit more like recognizable, but either way, it was a very good outlier for this creator. And so how can we game this? Like, how can we make sure that our videos do this every single time, regardless of production quality or how much we spend on thumbnails or anything? Instead of doing, this and getting 200 views on a very like seemingly produced video, or being like a very smart creator who has multi-million view videos and kind of just embarrassing himself on 600 view videos. Well, let's go to my most the payoff of this video, essentially. So we have these ingredients behind every video, and any one of these things can make a video blow up, massive outlier, and this is kind of a comprehensive list of all of those things. So bear with me for a minute, because I don't expect you to memorize this. No creator in the world is going to be able to reverse engineer all of these things perfectly just based on seeing it, for the first time. So don't try to do that. I'll go on to kind of how you can implement this just in a minute. But let's go through it. So we have the topic of the video. So if we just think in terms of like proper nouns, it would be like Squid Game or YouTube's AI, these things which carry like latent kind of inherent interest just based on the noun itself. And maybe that's due to kind of the part of the niche you're in or the timing. We have the claim and the promise of the video. So this can be implicit or explicit. It's like the underlying transformation the viewer's expecting to see when they click on a video. And this applies to entertainment content and educational content. Of course, if we look at like YouTube's own AI video, the underlying implicit claim is that you'll get more views by using this proprietary Google AI. If we look at this Squid Game video, the underlying claim is that you'll have the next 25 minutes of your day just kind of blown away by this like insane recreation of this thing. Let's go on to the mechanism. So this is the way the transformational promise is delivered. So In this case, it's getting more views by using the YouTube AI. We will talk about like recycling and kind of this promise by going through all of this research. And so like we're really selling the kind of proprietary, I dug through this topic for a while sort of angle or mechanism. Let's go on to the other one. So information density. Now this impacts kind of who's able to watch it. You know, if it's super fast, super dense, it's not going to appeal to someone on their phone at a bus stop. We have the format of the video. So plainly put, this is kind of like an umbrella or bundle term, but the way the video is packaged with all of these things kind of taken away from that. And this factors in the like, you know, for example, just on a very surface level, if it's a talking head video or a challenge video, but to go one level deeper, this kind of represents the emotional level of that viewer. So are they passively watching? You know, are they kind of sitting back, laying back watching? Or are they active? Are they almost, you know, kind of hyper and paying attention? You know, for a Mr. Beast, it's definitely that latter. And for something like this recycling video, which is longer, kind of slower pace, it's definitely that former. And these are kind of completely different target audiences. We then have the sophistication level. So how much kind of expertise or like prerequisite knowledge. So what sort of previous engagement with your niche and this sort of topic in general do they need to be able to engage with your video? You know, for Mr. Beast, he tries to make it nothing. For someone else, like, you know, Forrest Knight, inevitably you need to know a bit about, I assume, programming or like studying data. I'm not quite sure. Let's go on to this point. So value, plainly put and very often ignored, the actual like value, the information you say in your video that's different than what everyone else in your niche is saying, the like difference between the kind of status quo knowledge of your space and the like original insights you're providing. That is very, very important when YouTube makes a decision whether to show your video instead of a competitor's to a viewer who has proven interest in your space. Originality versus competition kind of extends this point, and I'll just rush to the end. We have the zeitgeist, or like this kind of external global demand in your topic. Kind of what does that national, or sorry, I even say like global kind of interest look like, macro interest in this subject. Now, all of this is relative to a target audience. You know, you can't just solve all of these for the mass. I mean, I suppose saying that's what Mr. Beast is trying to do, but it's far easier when you take a certain target audience, like Forrest and I is doing, and you try to solve all of these locally just for that audience. Now, a target audience, you know, it's a demographic, but more fundamentally, it's a very complex network of novelty and familiarity. So topics, subjects, and certain claims and promises which they have seen before, they've seen other creators do, or maybe they have tried doing themselves, and things they have never seen before, you know, things that are novel and completely new to them. And we mentioned earlier about trying to find that balance. That's very important. And every different target audience, you know, has their own balance. And so you can define a target audience by where that balance sort of lies. We have the context. We have like emotional state. So we mentioned, you know, passive or active. Their device type. Are they watching on, you know, phone or TV or desktop? It's very important. But all of this, it happens at a stage more fundamental and before YouTube looks at any of these ranking features. And so based on the point where your target audience opens their recommended page, YouTube uses all of these points to decide whether to show your video or someone else's. And this is the first thing that you kind of need to have ticked off before you're even in the selection for like that running. You know, you're kind of in that final sample set. But what then happens to that sample set is that YouTube will then look at the watch time, the basic satisfaction, you know, its ability to pay off the expectations of the viewer and keep them on a platform for longer, you know, CTR, and just make sure there are no red flags. These things, these ranking features, we call them, are only used at that final stage after YouTube has shortlisted maybe 100 or so videos to show to the viewer. Based on all of these fundamental things, these are only used afterwards and at that point to decide whether you'll be shown or a competitor. And so everyone is spending their time thinking about these things. YouTube's strategy is entirely spent, you know, on these points. But YouTube strategy should be spent on these points, these 8 things, and these are critical. These aren't just in your title and thumbnail. These are in your transcripts, They're in deciding how to get that information across, what you actually say, and the density of it, the originality of what you have to say. This is proven, like with data, this is proven to have a very serious impact on how your video performs. And there were kind of two ways to round this off. There were two ways to use all of this information, which I just said. And I've seen like creators succeed doing both of them. I'd say one is preferable than the other. So path one is that you actively try to reverse engineer all of these points for your target audience. So for every single video, you're thinking consciously about where the interest lies, who you're competing with, your ability to compete with them, and what you have to say to be shown instead of those older videos. So you're really trying to reverse engineer this. It works better if you have a large team like Sharan does with acquisition.com. You know, a lot of people with a lot of resources, you can't afford to almost the embarrassment or the ego death of having a low view video. This is kind of the game they have to play. But if we look up at a lot of these channels, number one, they're losing anyway. But number two, these people can afford to have lower view videos, especially at the expense of having higher view videos. So I absolutely guarantee if they actively paid a conscious effort towards just understanding their target audience and making videos they know because they maybe are a part of their target audience or they frequently speak with their target audience that would be interesting to them, then they'll learn so much more that within a few months, they'll be at least 10 times the views they're currently getting. And this means they need to stop trying to copy people in other niches. They need to suffer the awkwardness and the like discomfort that comes with being creative and coming up with kind of new ideas from first principles, not from copying data. Then they'll get far more views. And there are some really good examples of what this looks like. And so we have Forrest doing this for this kind of software development niche. And, you know, every now and then he'll get 300k views. Sometimes he'll be next to a 30k view video, but that's just how YouTube works, you know, that volatile viewership. And that's always going to be a part of the game, no matter which strategy you do. You know, Sharan, even with a massive team reverse engineering this entire checklist, has 16,000 view videos and, you know, occasionally 2 million view videos. And, you know, Voidzilla, so CoffeeZilla's second channel, is another really good example of this. You know, he talks about like whatever he knows is kind of conspiratorial or internet culture type audience will like and find interesting. And he's unapologetic about it and frequent with it. And I think that point should round off this video. So YouTube strategy is fundamentally broken, and it's because people are focusing on topics and formats. Instead, they should be focusing on all of these things and doing so either by trying to actively reverse engineer it and spending all of that time and resource into making sure every video is really perfect for all of these things, or they should be taking path two where they're doing the complete opposite and they're just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Currently, what they're doing is taking the middle path, and that is just not an option. Interest works with familiarity and it works with novelty, but it doesn't work when you have neither of those things. And that's currently what they're doing. So yeah, thank you for watching.